Hey everyone, Grandmaster Ben Feingold here with another recap from round 2. This we have a meeting of the tournament leaders after round 1. Jan Nepomniachtchi versus Fabiano Caruana. Jan is white, played e4, always play e4, and they played another one of these two-knight Gioco Piano Italians, just like we saw in the game with Ding and Duda. d3, bishop c5, so far the same. Castles. And this game went a little differently because Fabiano decided to play more aggressively with black than Ding did. Played a6 instead of the early a5 that Ding played. Bishop a7, and then h6. And then confusing the audience and his opponent, he played the move g5. Spencer pointed out we usually wait for h3 to play g5, so we have a lever to attack there. Okay, but he's playing his prep. He's playing fast. Jan was playing a bit slowly here, trying to remember his prep. b4, counterattacking on the queen side. Knight g4, attacking f2. Rook e2. We saw rook e2 in the other game, although we saw a bishop on c5 and a queen on a7 in the game Duda versus Ding. Queen f6. During the game, I was wondering what would happen on h3 since the knight's trapped. And the engine just takes on f2 and then plays h5 and says black has sufficient counterplay to have an equal position. Makes sense? So instead he played queen e1, doubling up on the bubble up, defending f2 some more. Queen g7, giving his knight an escape square. Knight f1, castles. Sort of like Fabiano's game with Nakamura yesterday, where Naka pushed his kingside pawns and castled kingside, although here Fabi's king is safer than Naka's was. Knight g3, knight e7 defending the f5 square, d4 attacking in the center, takes, and then the really nice move, knight c6. It's difficult to see after knight e7 that the knight's going back to c6, putting pressure on d4. It's very hard for white not to lose a pawn here, because the pawn is pinned to the rook. But Jan doesn't mind sacking a pawn. Black played this g5 move. Black didn't develop his queenside yet, so he doesn't mind playing for the attack. Rook a3, unpinning his pawn. He says, thanks for the pawn. h3, get your knight out of there. Bishop goes back to a2, c5. I thought he was going to take with the d pawn. That's what most of us thought here, like Karen. Spencer thought it was more likely. But he took with the bishop, keeping the knight cemented on e5. Both pieces are defended, and it gains a tempo attacking the rook. We were mildly surprised by rook b3. The engine wants to sack the exchange, play something like queen d1, letting him take this rook, and then bishop takes, and we have two bishops and all the dark squares. We could also play rook c3, which also sacrifices the exchange. That was the point of queen d1, was you could play rook c3 later and not walk into this pin with the queen on e1. Okay, rook b3. Fabi played the excellent b5. The idea is if we take twice, then bishop a6 skewers the rooks. Knight f5, ignoring the queen side. Fabi could take now on f5 and then take on a4, but he decided to keep his bishop and play queen f6. King h2, surprising us. He wants to get off of this diagonal and play f4 later. Takes. Rook g3, surprising no one. King h7. So white's down two pawns, although black's pawn structure is a little ratty, and black's king is a little ratty. We thought that white would play f4 here. That's the engine suggestion. He played queen to d1. He wasn't in any hurry. Bishop d7, defending the a4 pawn. Rook c2. His queen wants to go to h5. Not only does it want to go to h5, he did go to h5. Bishop takes, pawn takes. Rook b8, excellent move. Queen h5. Now we're threatening g5. That was the point of rook c2, queen h5. g5 pawn is attacked because the h pawn is pinned. Rook g8. Now the game ended suddenly. After bishop b2, which pins the knight, so now we have moves like bishop takes knight and bishop takes f7. Black played rook e8, defending. Instead, the engine wants to play rook takes b2. Of course, all the chat is like, rook takes b2, the engine says so. Okay, and probably after rook takes b2, a3, the engine really likes black. And the reason it likes black is after rook f7, rook b7, I should say, putting tremendous pressure on f7. Bishop takes f2, rook takes a3. Black has a brilliant move here that probably both players missed. If he doesn't play this move, white has tremendous pressure on a6, f7, white's up the exchange. But he can play d5, defending the a6 pawn, no more rook takes a6, blocking the bishop from f7. And the idea is, if you blunder with bishop takes d5, queen d6 is immediately winning. We have discovered double, triple checkmate, and the rook's hanging and the bishop's hanging. So after d5, you can't take on d5, and the engine loves black here. And d5 is a really difficult move to see. And even if you do see it, it's hard to evaluate several moves before. Unless you're an engine, then it's easy. So the engine's like, rook takes b2, rook takes b2. Also, the spectators are like, rook takes b2, my engine says so. But instead of rook takes b2, sacking the exchange, always sack the exchange, he played rook e8, undefending the g5 pawn, so bishop c1 with a very unlikely repetition. And since both players played in the last two world championships, there was a draw by reputation. And after repeating the position, one of the players claimed to draw here, probably Fabi, with rook g8 coming. And the only way to not repeat and draw would be to sacrifice the exchange, which was good, but the players didn't see it, probably d5, or underestimated black's position there. Both players should be happy with a draw. Fabiano black against Jan, who won last round, and Jan was down a couple of pawns and had some suspicious compensation and was worse for at least half the game. So I think both players are happy to draw. A very tough game. A fair result, but black possibly could have done better. This is Grandmaster Ben Feingold with a recap from round 2. Jan Nepomniachtchi versus Fabiano Caruana. Keep watching our recaps here on YouTube and watch us live on Twitch for live coverage of the event at twitch.tv/GM Benjamin Feingold. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.